Hello, my friends. How are you? I am cold today. Well, not right at the moment, but it's just started snowing here, and so I'm dealing with that. But I am on sleeve one. I finished my collar. It's a little rolled collar, and I'm pretty happy with it. So it'll have this nice little rolled edge there, and so I like that. I have to say though, I remembered why I don't like knitting sleeves top down. Because every time I usually work magic loop so that I just have one needle and I can't lose it, and I can't pick up the wrong sized one because I have a lot of needles, and not all of them are marked on the needle. So anyway, I like there to be no confusion. I like there to be one needle in my project bag, usually in the knitting, but always I know what needle I am working with. The problem with this is now I've got this whole sweater that I've got to flip around every time I do a round on this ever decreasing sleeve. I've done a couple decreases already, and so that's my problem. Well, it's not. It's just I don't like it. I had thought of maybe doing the sleeves two at a time because it is a long enough circular needle, 29 or maybe it might be 40 inches, so that I could do both. But then I didn't feel like flipping around with that, and I still am sort of double checking my decrease rate. So I didn't want to do two sleeves and then have to redo two sleeves. If one sleeve's a little different from the other on the decrease rate, I can live with that. And in the pattern, you will get the best decrease rate. But if I messed up doing it two at a time, I would then have to redo it. And I don't like doing that. So anyway, that's where I am. I've got my one sleeve, and I'm going around and around. And I don't know if I ended up having more stitches than necessary for the underarm, but I seem to have started with a lot of stitches, and I seem to need to get down to quite a few stitches. So that's a lot of decreasing. So my decrease rate is it's like every fifth round, but it may also be I decided to do a cuff that is as deep as you can see the ribbing at the bottom of the sweater. So whatever my sleeve length is, then I had to subtract 3 inches from that. So that means that my decreases have to go into a smaller amount for the sleeve to decrease from the upper arm down to the cuff. So I double checked my numbers in a few different ways. One of the things I did is I actually just grabbed a handful of recent publications that I have on hand. So new Norgon pom-pom, the pom-pom before that with my friend Catherine's sweater on the cover, the Daughter of a Shepherd that I bought from Rachel in person, which was fun, and then a copy of Lane. This is the one that has the original Birkin in it. So sometimes it's good to just reference those and see what other people are doing in terms of like cuff circumference, upper arm circumference, sleeve length for a long sleeve, things like that. So you can just sort of see what people are doing. I don't copy those numbers, but it does help me feel that I'm on track with my numbers. One of the places I do start with for my numbers is this great chart that Isolde Teague did. I wish there was a date on there. It's been around for years. Knitty used to reference it, and it's a sizing chart for women, and it's from extra small to 5X, and it's got bust, waist, high hip, full hip, back width, shoulder, top arm, wrist, nape to waist, armhole depth, and sleeve length. And it's got it in metric and imperial measurements. The only real problem for me is that the sleeve length is from wrist to to top of sleeve cap. So that's assuming that you are doing a sweater in pieces and that you are doing an arm sky. And I usually don't work that way. I like to do seamless stuff in the round and joining everything together. So I have sort of over the years figured out what works for me in terms of sleeve length from wrist to underarm. So that's the main difference from that. And some patterns do it one way, some patterns do it the other way. You know, obviously depends on the construction of the pattern itself. So I reference those as a starting place. Those are sort of standardized measurements for a standard woman's body, from extra small, which starts with a 28-inch measured bust, to a 5X, which goes up to a 62-inch measured bust. And that's the actual measurement of the body, not the measurement of the finished garment. So those are starting points, and then you figure out how much ease you want, and then you go from there. So that's how I've ended up with the numbers I have on my spreadsheet, and have had to figure out the rate of decrease. And then at the larger sizes, my rate of decrease is going to be even smaller, because your arms aren't that much longer if you have a bigger bust, but you generally have a much bigger upper arm, and you still have fairly modest wrist circumference. So it's not like if I'm starting with a 20-inch upper arm circumference, I'm going to go down to 10-inch. I'm not going to do the same rate of decrease for everyone. You still probably are going to have a wrist circumference that's more in the 8-inch range. And in fact, on here, wrist measures extra small as 5.5 inches, and it goes up to 9.5 inches for the 5X. And I usually write my patterns for extra small to 3X, and that would be 8.5-inch wrist circumference. So that's actual measurement and not the finished item. So anyway, that's a long, blathery way of saying that I'm double checking and thinking my numbers, and I'm looking at the spreadsheet, and then I'm looking at how things are going on my knitted sample for my size, and I'm doing the medium. So I think I've got that figured out. I've got my rate of decrease. I had been thinking for a moment about doing a more bat wing kind of sleeve and holding off on doing the decreases until later, so that it had a bigger upper arm, and then it would decrease pretty rapidly down to the wrist, and then do the wrist ribbing. But I decided to go a little more conventional. So sorry, maybe next time. But so now I'm just gonna wrestle with my sweater and work my sleeve down. So that may take a little longer than the body, because when you're knitting around and around on a 44-inch tube, things go kind of quickly. So with the decreases and the smaller circumference, and having all the body of the knitting on the needles or hanging from the needles, it will take me a little bit longer. But that is the report today from snowy New York City, and I will be back tomorrow, probably with more complaining about the sleeves. So thanks for stopping by. Until next time, bye.